Hey everybody! Today I'm going to walk you through how to do a simple self-check on your abdomen so that you can get a sense of the size of your diastasis. You can have a separation between your rectus abdominis muscles in a lot of different ways. It can happen just at the belly button, it can happen above the belly button, below the belly button, or it can be all the way down. So we are going to take 3 different measurements at the belly button, above, and below, and so that you understand exactly where your separation is and the extent of it in each of those places. The other thing that we are going to look for, in addition to the distance between the abdominal muscles, we're also going to look for the consistency within that gap. So if you remember, the linea alba is that connective tissue that holds those muscles together, and with a diastasis, that connective tissue gets stretched out, thins out. In healthy abdominals, the consistency of that linea alba will feel more like silly putty. And I like to compare it to this little soft fleshy part in between your thumb and your first finger. If you squeeze right there, that's some connective tissue. That can give you a good signpost of what healthy connective tissue feels like. In an abdomen with diastasis, as I said, that linea alba gets stretched out and thin. It can feel a lot softer. It sometimes moves more towards a consistency of saran wrap or cellophane. So my task for you is to get your measurements at all 3 parts and also note the consistency, how much resistance you're feeling from that connective tissue. What's considered a healthy, normal gap? Well, after you've had a baby, the odds that you're going to close that diastasis all the way are pretty slim. So anything from a 1 to 2 finger distance is really considered closed in a postpartum body. That being said, I don't want you to get too obsessed with the numbers, right? I want us to know where we're starting from, have that baseline. But I don't want you to become obsessed with getting down to 1 to 2 fingers, because the distance is not really the true measure of health. The true measure of health is how your abdominals are functioning, how you feel as you're moving through your days, how you're able to do activities in your life. If you are able to be healthy and engage your core and you still have a 3-finger distance gap, well, you're good, right? Over time, it will probably continue to close more, but just don't get obsessed with the number. All right, let's do the self-check. I'm gonna have you come down onto your back. And the best way to come down onto your back if you have a diastasis is not to roll down onto your back, it's to come down from the side. So let yourself just kind of slide down and then roll onto your back. That way you're not putting extra pressure on your core. Okay, bend your knees, feet flat on the floor. You're gonna take your hand, one hand behind your head, and then you're gonna take your other hand and you're going to place the fingers right at the belly button. With this hand behind your head for just a little bit of support, you're going to gently lift your head and shoulders just a tiny, tiny bit in this crunching motion. And you will feel the moment that head lifts up, your rectus abdominis engages. So then you feel those muscles start to firm, and you want to feel how many fingers fit in between those muscles. Now, a really important note here, if you lift up too high, you're going to get a false reading, because the moment we lift up really high, that automatically starts to bring those muscles closer together. So you may get a lower reading than is accurate. So you really just want to lift up until, they just engage. I mean, like it's like an inch that my head is lifting up off of there. And you want to measure how many fingers fit in there. Now, if you're finding that one hand is simply not enough, one, you can recruit someone else to help you, but you might not feel comfortable with that. You can also do this with 2 fingers and then just lift up with your head. It's a little harder to do that because, again, without that support of your head, sometimes you tense more and you get a more false reading. So this is your first measurement at the belly button. And again, I want you to also just note, okay, so I'm pressing in here. How is that resistance? Does it feel like that space in my hand, that connective tissue in my hand, or is it pretty soft? Can I push pretty deep in there? So just get a sense of that. Now we're going to measure above the belly button. So taking your hand, take 3 fingers, and that's how far above your belly button you go. So resting their hands there to measure, and then take your other hand again, those 3 fingers, palm faces your head. Just place your fingers right on the outside of those fingers. Again, take that hand behind your head and gently curl up. So you're gonna notice it might be different here. There might be more of a gap. And if you find, oh, I probably came up too high, just come back down and do it again. Notice how many fingers fit in there. Press to feel the consistency and release down. And then the last and final measurement is 3 fingers below your belly button. So again, head resting on the ground, take those 3 fingers, place them right below the belly button to measure, and then your other hand's 3 fingers now go right down into your lower abdomen. Hand comes behind the head, gently lift up and press. What is the gap here? What is the consistency? And release down. To come back up out of this, roll back onto your side and press yourself up. And then my hair falls out. Go record your answers. Again, this is going to serve as your baseline, and it will help you know if you're progressing over time. All right, see you soon.